Cedric had agreed to leave the monastery with the Sultan's guard. It was clear he had already stayed among the monks for far too long, and whispers of his ageless complexion were starting to scare some of his fellow brothers. He traveled far across Europe and further east to an area called Anatolia with the guardsmen. This was a place with harsh history, and at the current state of the world, the Ottomans were not a power to oppose. Brought before the Sultan, he looked misplaced and pale compared to the people that lived in this hot, dry land. With a wave of Sultan Mehmed II's hand, ooh, that's a mouthful, everyone left the throne. The doors thudded closed, echoing throughout the white and golden hall. After a moment of exchanging stares and silence, the Sultan spoke. "Stand, Cedric." He motioned for Cedric to stand on his feet. "I know who and what you are, unlike the blind that we live among. My reputation still holds after all this time." Cedric gave him a scowl as he shifted to a more relaxed stance. And I am surprised that a Strigoi would be living in a place so full of light. Ah, you're no fool. Vladimir's grandson is as clever as they have said you would be. There was a chuckle before he continued. "Do you know why I've brought you here?" "Honestly, no." Sighing, he looked over the short, plump vampire. The skin strange with its dark skin and the brown eyes he held did not show any of the customary signs of a Strigoi. It was only the scent and the moroi within Cedric that had told him what the Sultan was. "Why have you brought me here?" "You have a responsibility to tend to." A grave look crossed the Sultan's face as he sat down in his throne. Vladimir has vowed to wipe the world of the Strigoi, but he has also killed many innocents in his lustful hunt for gaining powers from the others. Are you familiar with our customs? Of course I am. Cedric's jaw twitched as he confirmed what he knew. Being the closest blood relative, it is my duty to hunt and kill Vladimir. So there's a lot packed into this mythology-wise. First off, the Slavic superstitions and beliefs of vampires and witches who fed on the living were called Strigoi. And there was a belief that if two Strigoi loved each other enough or had somehow maintained their humanity, that they could give birth to a red-haired, green-eyed girl who knew no limits to stamina. But in my story, there's a lot of black magic happening, right? There's Morrigan from the Trinity of sisters that who hunted. It's from Irish folklore and Celtic folklore. Anyway, so there's a lot packed into this excerpt, which also includes that Sultan Mehmed II was the Sultan at the time that Vladimir Tepes, who we know as Dracula, which is sort of what we're referencing. Basically, in Cedric, in this alt history aspect of mythology and legend tied together, he's being asked to go hunt Dracula down because it's his sworn duty and that he's related to Dracula in a way. It was a lot of fun being able to twist and tie in things. But even then, with Cedric being inspired by the Russian Knight hero tales, I wanted to make sure I found a way to make sure that he was identified as a monk. It's not exactly at the same time that we know that it's far later than when in the 1400s, when we know that the original monk that he's inspired by lived during the 12th century, right, during the Dark Ages. But it was really cool to tie in a lot of history and mythology and twist it to tell my own story, right? So you'll be surprised at how much in this book and in this series and in other series I write that you'll find excerpts that are packed full of little nuggets and facts and truths behind that. So discover for yourself how much mythology and alt history you can find within these pages.